When I tell people that I'm writing a novel by hand, they look at me like I'm crazy. And they may be right. But I think I'm right, that it's going to be the best way for me to get to the heart of the story that I'm trying to tell. And maybe for you, this is a method that might work too. Also, if you stick around, I will tell you how you can win this Le Boeuf fountain pen that I'm giving away. I'll give you all the details at the end of the video. Hi, I'm Stace, and this is Magic and Ink, where we talk about fantasy writing, creative living, and magic. Happy New Year to everybody. I hope 2026 is starting off good for everyone, or as good as it can be in today's world. I want to say thank you to every one of you who stopped by one of my holiday week writing sprints, and especially for those of you who subscribed because you found the sprint. I'm so excited to have you here. And I'm looking forward to doing similar kinds of sprints in the year to come. Maybe not 5 days in a row. That was pretty intense, at least for me. I did get a lot of work done, including a lot of planning work on the novel that I have just started writing a couple days ago. That's what I'm going to talk about now, because I made the decision that I wanted to write this novel by hand with a fountain pen in a notebook. That's a really unusual decision to make. And, why would I do that? Well, to explain that, I have to go back a little bit. Last year, one of my yearly goals was to develop a deeper relationship with my writing. Now, a lot of writing goals are traditionally like to write so many words or to write so many hours every week or whatever metric you're using to judge your progress and success. But for me, those seemed like not enough to make the transformation I needed in writing. So I looked at my writing and thought, how can I make it more meaningful, more a part of my life, and not just a set of goals that I'm trying to achieve. And one part of that process for me was creating my companion, which is this notebook. And I made a video about this that I posted earlier this year, which I'll link up in the cards above. And this book is just a little notebook, and I've been composing story prompts in here, blog posts, essays, even a few scripts for videos. It really helps when I take the book out and go sit somewhere to write, to not be sitting in front of the computer, which presents all sorts of digital distractions, but it's also a very different way of thinking. I write every day for my job, and so sitting down and tippity-tappeting up a story for a blog post or newsroom story is pretty simple and not a deep process of writing. It's not tapping. That manual process of typing does not go into my deep psyche anymore. What is it that I want to say? What are the images that I can pull out from my inner self that are going to be meaningful when translated to the page? When I use my notebook with a fountain pen, I find myself more able to access that deep level of thought and feeling and creativity. And so I'm hoping that will translate into the creation of a whole novel. Now, these are just short ideas, a few pages at best, so I know that working on a novel is going to be a very different sort of task, and so I've thought about it strategically to figure out how to do it. I have actually written a whole novel by hand about 15 years ago. I used a couple of Moleskine notebooks and wrote everything out, and then I never got around to doing anything with it. I think the story was okay. It was just so hard to think about transcribing all those pages at once that it just fell through the cracks of my life, and I've never gotten back to it. Maybe one day, we'll see. So my strategy, my main strategy this time around, is that I'm going to write each chapter, and then I'm going to transcribe the chapter when I'm done. And as I'm doing that, I will do the first revision of the chapter so that when I come back to it, I'll feel better about the prose and the text than I usually do with a dump draft. And as I progress, I will know I have a strong foundation for each scene that comes after. The notebook I'm going to be using for my novel is this Midori notebook. I actually have two. I'll probably need a third. This is what it looks like in the package. It's just a small notebook. I'm trying to see if it says how many pages on it. It doesn't. But it is lined, which is essential for me when I've written. I found that I can't, if I'm writing, journaling, anything like that, I want lines. I've added a plastic cover on it and inserted a couple decorative papers in there just to keep it nice looking. It has cream colored paper, and I like that because it's not quite so glaring bright as white and not as brilliant yellow as like a legal pad. It's a nice in between the two, just like this is a nice in between a fancy notebook or journal and a spiral notebook. It's compact enough for me to carry with me, but not so small that it's going to get lost somewhere easily. And so I expect I'll probably need, I don't know, I have no idea how many of these I'll need. We'll find out. Each day when I write, I'm putting the date that I'm writing on the top of the page, and then for each scene I write a couple sentences describing the scene, and then I go from there. And then, as I said, when I finish the scene, I enter it into the computer. I have this little stand that I can prop it up on while I transcribe, which is very convenient. And the last tool I'm using, of course, is a fountain pen. I will probably, for the most part, use this Esterbrook fountain pen. It's a Model J Ebonite in blackberry. It's one of my favorite fountain pens that I have right now, and I have a journaler nib on it, which, I don't know, I just like the way it writes. Makes my writing look a little more fun. But I may change the pen out depending on how I feel. My little decorative pen is falling over. So that's the main tools I'm using. I could add that I'm using Scrivener as my tool for on the computer. I've already got tons of notes in Scrivener, world building and character backgrounds and my outlines. So I'm hoping I can do maybe a couple chapters a week. I'm not sure. I'm not worrying about word counts at this point. I think there's too much obsession about word counts in a lot of worlds, especially when you're in the early stages of composition. I really want to focus on the story and making sure my characters are coming to life on the page in a way that's engaging and interesting and meaningful. And if it takes, 80,000 words to tell that story or 150,000 words, then that's what it's going to be. And I can worry about, making adjustments after the fact. Is this going to work? I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe I'll get part way through and decide that the process is a complete disaster and not working for me at all. Or maybe the novel will just fall apart. I don't know. Sometimes you don't know how good a story is until you're actually in the middle of writing it. But I'll keep you guys updated as I go along, and I'm hoping, 6 months or a year from now, I'll have a finished draft that I can start sharing with the world. You, like me, like to write by hand, and you've thought about writing a novel by hand. I'd love to hear from you about your experience, your fears, your ideas down in the comments. Writing a novel is a pretty lonely business, so having any companions along the way, even if they're just video comments, is a little reassuring. So I promised I would tell you how you could win this pen. And the way to do that is by becoming a member of the brand new Analog Writers Club, which is a new community I've started for people who like to write by hand. It doesn't matter if you like fountain pens or ballpoint pens or gel pens or pencils. Yeah, so if you go to the URL on the screen, you can sign up for the community. You can get a free newsletter every month. If you become a paid member, you can sign up for giveaways every month like this one, and there's also additional articles and a chat community where you can share ideas and prompts and challenges with other people who like to write by hand. The Analog Writers Club is for everybody who likes to write stories by hand, essays, poems, journaling, planning, letter writing. Anything you want to write by hand, you're welcome to join the club and connect with other people who share your same hobbies and passions, and take a break from the digital demands of the world and do something real and inky and fun. That's all I have for today. I hope you'll check out the Writers Club. I hope you'll share your ideas about writing a novel by hand. And of course, please like this video, leave a comment to help the algorithm know that this is an interesting video that other people will want to see. And subscribe if you haven't subscribed. And I'll see you next time here on Magic and Ink. Bye-bye.